I am the monster, rah rah rah. I am the monster, rah rah rah. I am the monster, I am the monster, I am the monster, rah.
Hello and welcome back to the channel. This is part 4 of looking at Epic the Musical. Today we're looking at the Cersei Saga. I am Spencer Penrod. I'm a world builder. I make worlds and plan out details for stories, for games like D&D. I've been doing it for years and I'm starting to put that skill set to use in analyzing media. So last time we had looked at the Ocean Saga, where Odysseus kind of had his actions come back to bite him in the butt. He lost most of his men that he was commanding, got blown way off course, and barely escaped from Poseidon. Now they're trying to get back home. And then we're picking up in this saga. I've never seen these animations, but I've actually listened to the soundtrack before I even really knew what this was. Spotify just recommended it to me, and like I have most of the Cersei saga favorited. I love this one so much, so I'm excited to see the animatics for it and all the little details, and actually like examine it from a world building perspective instead of just listening to some awesome music, though I will enjoy that as well. So yeah, with that, let's just jump right in and see what we've got.
Captain, I have something that I must confess. Something that I must get off my chest. Until it is said, I cannot rest.
Okay, fun fact. Like I said, Spotify originally recommended these to me. I had no context, didn't even see what was playing because it was just recommended songs going on in the background. And I totally thought this was like a gay coming out moment from some musical I hadn't heard of. So that's what I always think of at this part. But that is not quite where it goes.
Captain, you really gotta make sure this island is secure. But Captain, there's only so much left we can endure. Whatever you need to say can wait some more. Of that I'm sure. Okay.
So it's interesting looking at the animatics for this, because just looking at the lyrics, I kind of felt like Odysseus was brushing him off and saying that his concerns weren't important. Whereas with this, it feels more like he's just so exhausted and tired he can't deal with anything else right now. Just because of how he's drawn, all tired, and the way that he's not even looking around kind of hints at that to me. Also, I just realized I left my captions on from the alien stage video that I was just recording, which I haven't done for the rest of these. I'll probably leave them on because I kind of like it, but let me know if you have any preferences about that either way. I can turn them off in the future if that's better, or leave them back on.
Eurylochus, back so soon. Where's the rest of your crew? And by the gods, what happened to you?
We came across a palace. Inside we heard a voice.
Okay, so they were just blown off course in the last episode to somewhere totally random. They didn't really control where they went. Immediately I'm thinking, if they're on some random island and find a random palace on that island, they're saying it's just a palace they came across too, not even like a city built around it, which you would normally see. That makes it really, really suspicious to me. Like, I feel like that's very big red flags that you probably shouldn't approach it. I'm also noticing on this palace, we see some details like, I think these are some kind of animal head here. Lots of like vine aesthetics, nature. We see some trees, I think, kind of in the middle of the palace, which tells me that whoever lives here is someone who is very much in tune with nature.
It seemed to show no malice. To greet it was our choice, but nothing could prepare us for the power that awaited inside.
What did this palace hide?
Sir, since we left home, we faced a variety of foes from a wide range of places. Gods, monsters, you know the roster. Hostile creatures that we could resist. But this was a hell of a twist, cause we are weak to a power like this.
What was it?
A woman.
What?
Yeah, that's funny to say that that after facing gods and monsters and all sorts of things, the only thing they couldn't deal with was a woman. I feel like him saying they could resist gods, they could resist monsters, and they couldn't resist a woman means that they probably don't have women in this army. Not that surprising when it's ancient Greece. I mean, I don't actually know much about ancient history, but I would presume in most places they don't tend to have women in their armies that far ago in the past. But also it seems to either hint that they were like very lonely and missed the touch of a woman, or that they believed in like not harming women to the point where she was able to do them harm, and they felt like they couldn't reciprocate because harming a woman was bad. I'm also noticing here she's got butterflies floating around her in this image, which is something that Odysius reacted to with surprise and kind of fear in one of the earlier animatics. I've had people point out in the comments to me that's likely because butterflies represented souls, or souls took the shape of butterflies, something like that in ancient Greek mythology. And my theory was just that everything is so dangerous that even innocent things like butterflies couldn't be taken at face value. So that makes me think this is a callback to those butterflies, whether that's saying they're the souls and there's something sinister going on here, or whether that's saying that there is something innocent appearing about the woman, but there's danger hidden behind her, like there potentially could have been with the butterflies. Either way, I feel like there's some hints that there's more than just a woman here.
She had us in just 2 words.
Come inside.
Damn.
Welcome to the best part of your life. Go ahead and rest wherever you like. I've got you. Don't worry, Cecie's got you now.
Only I stayed outside, but the rest went in.
Take a seat. Let me bring you all something to eat. I bet you're tired from the years spent on your feet. I've got you. Don't worry, Cecie's got you now.
By the time they ate, it was far too late. For inside the meal,
Think of your past.
she had cast a spell.
And your mistakes.
They began to squeal
They'll be the
and grow
last
snouts and tails.
mistakes you'll make.
So that is interesting, that she cast a spell into the food that changed them. That's the second instance of magic, I think, that we've seen, like overt magic, other than like Athena slowing down time or speeding up Odysseus's thoughts or whatever she's doing. And both times those magics have been cast into an object rather than kind of free form, which makes me think that magic tends to be cast through a medium. We've also only seen it used by gods until now. Of course, that's only really been one time, but it makes me wonder if Circe here is a god or a demigod or something like that. I'm also noticing here the glass that he's looking through is not perfectly clear. You see lots of smudges on it, unless that's just my monitor.
Change
but I don't think so. Okay, nope, definitely not just my monitor. So that makes me wonder, because we've seen really, really clear glass before. So to me, this implies that she is producing her glass on site and is really talented about it. She's not trading with anyone to get her glass. She's just using her own skill or the skill of these other women that we saw. And they are good, but not quite as masterful at it as some of the other glasswork that we've seen. Oh, also makes me wonder, the food that they ate looked like it was a pig. And she talks to them about remembering their past mistakes and details of their lives. It makes me wonder if this spell wasn't like just a transformation spell that had a static effect, but if it was something that worked based on the thoughts and regrets and fears and mistakes of the people who ate it, and that maybe someone who was like really pure-hearted and perfect wouldn't have been as affected. Not that I'm sure we'll see that. We've got lots of flawed people in this story, but it kind of feels like almost like it was a test to see if any of them were worthy, and if they weren't, they would transform.
Change them.
I've got all the power, yeah. I've got all the power. No, I'm not a player, I'm a puppeteer. No, I don't play, I'm puppeteer, yeah.
They transformed.
This is the price.
And it wasn't quick.
We paid a little.
She turned our men
The world is not
from men to pigs.
and to forgive.
She changed them.
I've got all the power, yeah.
What was that again, that line?
And it wasn't quick.
We paid a little.
She turned our men
The world is not
from men to pigs.
and to forgive.
She changed.
She says, the world does not tend to forgive. This is the price we pay to live. Well, the order of those lines were reversed. But the point is, we just saw Poseidon hammering in the fact that there is no forgiveness. You have to be ruthless. So it feels like that ruthlessness is still on theme here. And once again, presented more like the way the world works itself, rather than the way that any individual person looks at it. It's like there is this undeniable fact that the world doesn't forgive, it runs on ruthlessness, and the people are only playing by the rules that it's setting. So that's really interesting to see that theme continued here.
Changed them.
I've got all the power, yeah. I've got all the power. No, I'm not a player, I'm a puppeteer. No, I don't play, I'm puppeteer, yeah.
We have to go save them.
No, we don't. Look at all we've lost and all we've learned. Every single cost is so much more than what we've earned. Think about the men we have left before they're none. Let's just cut our losses, you and I, and let's run.
So that's interesting. Something I pick up on here is that they didn't actually lose most of their men to Circe. It was just a small number of them. And Odysius is like, we need to save even that small number. Whereas his friend, whose name I would butcher, is like, we need to just cut our losses. Everything we've done has resulted in more and more losses, and if we keep pushing our luck, we're just going to all die. And Odysius, his choice here, I mean, he hasn't made it, but what his initial reaction was, at least, was that, oh, there's someone here who seems to be scary, powerful, and really magic. I'm just going to go beat them and get my men back. Like, maybe he's got plans already. That wouldn't surprise me. He's very quick-witted and clever. But the fact is, we're once again seeing him put his pride above everything, thinking that he has the capability to go save his men, despite being up against an obstacle that that, unlike gods and monsters, they can't resist. Odysseus is like, screw that, I'm resisting even this, and I'm going to get everyone back.
Of course I'd like to leave now. Of course I'd like to run. But I can There's no length I wouldn't go. If it was you I had to save.
Okay, so that, what was that? Something landing here. Winged boots. Obviously, that calls to mind someone from Greek mythology, but we don't have any knowledge of that. All we're seeing now is someone landing here with wings on their feet. This makes me think that something is watching them. The fact that the music doesn't get any more ominous, or that the shot isn't framed in a particularly threatening way, makes me think that this is a benevolent entity. And the fact that it lands right when Odysius is saying, there's no length I wouldn't go, makes me think that this is going to, like, whatever landed here is going to present something that Odysius is going to have to do to kind of put his money where his mouth is. Some length that he's going to have to go to, some way that he's able to save the men, but it's not going to be easy.
If it was you I had to save, I can only hope you'd do the same.
I can hear her still,
No one will find
and her voice deceives.
their way between.
What if she can't be killed?
My nymphs and I.
Will you choose to leave?
Their loving queen.
No one can find their way between the nymphs and I, their loving queen. So it makes sense. They're living in a palace that she would be a queen. But it kind of seems like she's queen of only the people in that palace. I'm not super familiar with nymphs, especially how they're presented in Greek mythology, and especially how that mythology is interpreted here through Epic the Musical. I know them a lot more through other media. They do tend to be associated with nature a lot, from what I understand, which I kind of guessed at with the decoration on the palace. But it's interesting that what she says is that no one can find their way between us, rather than any other reason for why she might have harmed the men. It sounds like she's doing this out of a genuine place of care and a need to protect, rather than when she first changed the men, she talked about how the world won't forgive, which makes it seem like she would have been in a place of punishment or ruthlessness, or saying that they weren't worthy, or something like that. But it sounds now like she wasn't actually all that concerned with forgiveness or wrongs that have been done or anything like that. She's actually just concerned with anything new getting in the way of her and her nymphs. And it makes me wonder which side is the real one, if maybe she's presenting that more motherly, protective, caring side to her charges, and the more ruthless side to strangers. There's probably some truth in both of them, but I wonder which one is the real one for her.
No.
I've got all the power, yeah. I've got all the power. No, I'm not a player, I'm a puppeteer. No, I don't play, I'm puppeteer. Yeah.
She's a clever witch,
This is the prize.
and she's hard to slay.
We paid it all.
It's a game of wits,
We draw the line.
but you don't have to play.
What's wrong?
That's a really interesting line. She's a clever witch who's hard to slay. It's a game of witch, but you don't have to pay. First of all, because she didn't do anything particularly clever. She just, like, baited people into eating what was essentially poisoned food. And it's not like he tried to kill her based on his account. So it's weird to say that she's hard to slay. I don't know how he would know that. And then finally to say it's a game of wits. She didn't really, like, outsmart them. She just said, come eat. And they were all like, ooh, yes, women and food. We like that. And then just weren't cautious enough. But I don't know. It's weird to frame it like she outsmarted them all, when really it wasn't quite like that. And also, he has to know, if he frames something as a game of wits to Odysius, that Odysius has to view himself as coming out on top. Like, that's his battleground. He can't view himself as losing that. And especially with pride driving him through everything, there's no way he's going to hear, oh, this is a really witty opponent, you don't stand a chance. He's going to hear, oh, this is a really witty opponent, go show that you're even more witty. So I don't see Odysseus backing down here at all. If anything, I see this part of the song encouraging him.
I have to try.
I've got all the power, yeah. I've got all the power. No, I'm not a player, I'm a puppeteer. No, I don't play, I'm puppeteer, yeah.
It's weird to me. Oh, okay. Actually, though, I was going to say it's weird that they seem to be caring for these animals here. They've got them all penned up. They're not just slaughtering them. But then I remembered that what they fed these men was a pig, which might just be another person. So maybe it's less that they're caring for them and more like they're preparing them for any future guests, or they just eat them. And they're not quite as benevolent as they seem. They're actually like cannibals with a step removed. Although, is it cannibalism if they're technically nymphs and not humans? I don't know. It's close enough to be iffy, though.
I don't play, I'm puppeteer, yeah. Come inside.
Damn.
Welcome to the best part of your life.
Right. Let's see what the next one is. Okay, so we got lots of laughing. Someone comes and like flips his hood up. We've already seen one playful god, and we've seen what I'm guessing is foreshadowing in the last animatic of those winged boots landing down. I feel like it's not too much of a stretch to say that this is whoever is wearing those boots coming, and they are a really playful god or being, and this is the way that they introduce themselves, is just by kind of messing around.
I must say, what a brilliant speech you gave.
Who goes there?
Just a friend who could help you save your men. A foe like Cersei's not to be messed with. You want to beat her, you'll need the blessing of a certain god. Divine intervention, someone who's not afraid to send a message.
So, okay, in order to beat Cersei, you'll need the intervention of a certain god. Obviously, he's introducing himself here, saying that he is that god willing to send the message and help out Odysseus. But also, it's really interesting to see him say that Cersei can't be beaten without the help of a god. That tells me that either she is a god herself, or she's someone on the level where even the gods respect and fear her. I'm not sure which it is. I'm far, again, from a knowledgeable person about mythology and ancient Greece and all that. So I don't actually know who Cersei is. And even if I did, I'm trying to keep that knowledge out of these videos. But it really seems like they're painting her to be on the level of the gods at the very least.
Hermes? Wouldn't you like a taste of...
That was interesting that his face here really lights up when he sees that it's Hermes. It's not that he... like, it doesn't light up at the offer of help. It lights up at recognizing who is offering that help. So that makes me feel like he's got some kind of connection to Hermes, whether that's respect and worshiping him already, or something else. The fact that he is so delighted to see Hermes specifically, as opposed to every other god that he's interacted with, where it's been kind of neutral, or like he's putting on a fake face almost. This seems really genuine. So that's a really interesting contrast, that he seems to care for Hermes in this unique way.
Wouldn't you like a taste of the power? Wouldn't you like to use more than words? Deep in the night, the fight lasts for hours. You can be hurt or you can be hurt.
So he's saying that the fight is going to last for hours and that he can have a taste of the power. I'm assuming he's offering that power to Odysseus. But the fact that the fight is going to last for hours is ridiculous because fights don't last that long. They're over quick. Like a fight between two people at least. So that makes me think he's talking not about a physical confrontation, or if he is talking about a physical confrontation, that it's one fueled or augmented by magic. More likely, I think he's just talking about a magical confrontation in general. Because I can't see how a physical confrontation between normal or even abnormally strong people could last hours. It would just be decided well before that.
Wouldn't you like to have some of the magic? Wouldn't you like your outcome preferred?
So yeah, definitely offering him magic. Magic that can give him his preferred outcome, which is to beat Cersei and get his men back.
Deep in the night, the fight can be tragic. I'll help you conquer her. She can turn you to an animal that'll end up on her plate.
Yep, that's confirming what we saw last episode, or last animatic, that she definitely eats the people she's turning into pigs, which is messed up. It's also weird that he gives Odysseus a sword when he's offering magic. I'm guessing it's just him playing around and trying to emphasize that power is like a sword, rather than him literally saying this is a magic sword, but I guess we'll see.
She can all but make you fall in love like you're on your 100th day.
That makes me think that when we saw the rest of the men go in with her, it wasn't necessarily because they were being too naive or too trusting blindly. It was because they were charmed in order to go in against their better judgments. And it also further cements my headcanon that Odysseus's second mate might be a little bit gay, and that's why he was able to resist it. Though, again, that's mostly based on me listening to that last song on Spotify with no context before, and not hearing any of the rest of the albums.
She can conjure up a monster that'll grind you to the bones. She has all the ways to haunt you when you take her on alone.
So far we've seen gods really limited to one type of thing that they can do. Athena, goddess of wit, was able to deal with the mind and speed up perception or slow down time or something to talk to Odysseus really quickly. We see the god at the beginning, pretty sure that was Zeus, who seemed to be able to manipulate the storm clouds maybe, and maybe read fate. We see Poseidon, who could control water, and we see the wind god, who could trap the winds. But they are all really contained to the domains that they've shown, whereas Cersei here seems to have a huge variety on what she can do. We saw 3 very different uses of magic just here, but then also he seems to imply that she has even more ways to use magic. And that makes me think she isn't a god and is more like a really powerful demigod or sorcerer or something else that gained this power, and the gods fear her not because she is one of them, but because she has capabilities that almost outclass them, at least in terms of versatility. I don't know how her power would stack up against one, But the fact that they're saying that you need a god's intervention to deal with her isn't because she is on the level of the gods, but because her versatility is so powerful that you would need a god's power to break through it.
Wouldn't you like a taste of the power? Wouldn't you like to use more than words? Deep in the night, the fight lasts for hours. You can be hurt or you can be turned. Wouldn't you like to have some other magic? Wouldn't you like your outcome preferred? Deep in the night, the fight can be tragic. I'll help you conquer her.
So this whole proposition is really interesting to me because Odysseus feels like someone who would never feel lacking. Like he's always confident in his own ability to use the tools at hand, and especially his own wit to conquer any challenge. And Hermes here is directly challenging that and saying, your words aren't going to be enough. You need actual power. And Odysseus seems to be nodding along like he's agreeing and being convinced. So to me, that again hints that he's got some kind of prior relationship with Hermes, because I feel like anyone else who would have suggested this would have been shot down. I mean, maybe he doesn't strike me as someone to turn down free power, I guess, or free tools. So maybe not. Maybe he would have eagerly taken it from anyone else. But it seems like he tends to trust in himself more than anything else. And so to need to trust in someone or something else seems like it would be hard for him. But we're not seeing any signs of reluctance so far. I wonder if we'll see some of those, or if he really is just trusting enough of Hermes that he's willing to go forward with Hermes' plan.
Here in the roots of this flower, there lies such a power to take her on. You must consume and digest it, then you'll manifest a being of your creation. All you need's imagination, though it's only for a moment, till you've beaten your opponent.
That's interesting too, that he's not even getting the versatility that Cersei has. He's getting the ability, it sounds like, to summon a single creature, and it's limited by his imagination. So it's a temporary power-up that gives him something to directly counter one of Cersei's tools by matching her, because she can summon monsters as well. But the rest of it he's going to have to deal with on his own, which kind of sounds like a battle of wit. Also, it looks like he just consumed that flower without any thought. So it really goes to show that he trusts Hermes a lot more than anyone else so far, it would seem, which is surprising to me.
And I call this route Holy Moly.
Is that where the name Holy Moly comes from? Or the phrase Holy Moly comes from? I can't tell if it's a joke, because like I hear people exclaim Holy Moly sometimes when they're surprised. So is that all originating from here, or is it a joke based on that phrase? I don't know. It's interesting if that's where it came from.
Wouldn't you like a taste of the power? Wouldn't you like to use more than words? Deep in the night, the fight lasts for hours. You can be hurt or you can be turned.
It's also weird for him to keep emphasizing that the fight's going to last for hours, and then also say that his power is only going to last for a moment. It makes me wonder if he's only going to get to use this power for a small part of that hour-long fight, or hours-long fight, or if it's just a moment is the same as a few hours because Hermes is immortal and time is just so relative that there's no real difference between what most people would think of as a moment and most people would think of as a long night.
Wouldn't you like to have some of the magic? Wouldn't you like your outcome preferred? Deep in the night, the fight can be tragic. I'll help you conquer her. Wouldn't you like a taste of the power? Wouldn't you like to use more than words? Deep in the night, the fight lasts for hours. You can be hurt or you can be turned. Wouldn't you like to have some of the magic? Wouldn't you like your outcome preferred? Deep in the
This is like the happiest we've seen Odysseus, especially recently. Like, Oh, and there are the winged boots, just to fully confirm that Hermes was who we saw last episode. But yeah, he seems to love flying around with Hermes and just really be opening up to a more vulnerable, happy part of him that seems to have been closed off since he watched Polyphemus, the Cyclops, kill his men. He's been pretty different since then, but now he seems to be really just kind of having the time of his life with Hermes.
Hermes! Thank you. Don't thank me, friend. You very well may die. Good luck. Wouldn't you like...
Okay, yeah, interesting. Also, I've been trying to resist all episode, but Hermes had sunglasses, which is really interesting. I don't think tinted lenses were very common. They're very perfectly circular, even, which reinforces my minor theme of very impressive glasswork technology, especially what's available to the gods. Yeah, that was an interesting episode. I'm excited to see if this one is going to be dealing with Odysseus actually getting to use that magic, and if we can see some of what that's like. All right, next up. I think we got 2 left. So let's see what this one has in store. Okay, they've got little nymphs even. I kind of assumed all of them were adults, but I guess they have to come from somewhere. Also, it looks like she's chasing a baby pig, which has interesting implications. I wonder if some of the pigs they're caging are natural, or whether she's like changing their gender as she holds them and they're mating with each other, or maybe not everyone she captures is only men. Any of those are interesting. But some of them are kind of disturbing.
Lady of the palace, sorry that I ask this, but I hope that I've been misinformed. I sent out some scouts to take a look around through here, and they wound up at your doors.
It's interesting to me. I'll bring these subtitles back on. I turned them off last episode because they included them. But it's interesting that he comes here with the express purpose to fight and beat Circe. He even has magic power right now. And still what he decides to do first is talk it out. That even while he is infused with power granted to him by the gods, he's thinking that his words are the most powerful and reliable tool to start with.
Through the years we seldom get a warm welcome, so I must ask just to be sure. Did you do something to them?
Who, me? All I did was reveal their true form.
You turned them into pigs.
I don't know who you are nor why you're here, but let me make this one thing clear. I've got people to protect, nymphs I can't neglect, so I'm not taking chances, dear. If you make one wrong move, then you're done for. Anything I don't approve, then you're done for. I could put a spell on you and you're done for. Boy, you better run or soon you will be done for.
This is interesting to me because aside from having this kind of monstrous form, which implies that she definitely has some kind of non-human heritage, or I'm pretty sure nymphs don't do that, so not even a nymph-like heritage. So there's that. But she's also saying, like, she's threatening him with the spell, saying that if he does anything she doesn't approve of, then he's done for. She's not presenting it like she is capable of harming him right now. it sounds like she needs him to trespass something, whether that's physically trespassing her property or trespassing against some rule that she's set. It sounds like she needs a trigger in order to be able to affect people, which kind of matches with what I was thinking with her talking about vengeance and making the people think of their regrets and things like that. It makes me wonder if she really is limited and can only affect people when they are in certain mindsets or performing certain activities that she doesn't like.
I don't mean to tip your scale, but you will fail at placing any spells on me. I just ate a flower, one that claims your power, so you better cower now and flee.
You must be a liar, mortals can't acquire Moly without dire consequence.
So he's saying the flower claims her power, whereas Hermes only told him that it let him conjure a monster. So maybe Hermes was just kind of abbreviating it, and really it just gives him the same power set as her or makes him immune to some of her stuff. It's a little unclear, but it's also interesting that she says mortals can't acquire it without consequence, which means that, let's see, I'm not sure if it means that she's getting her powers from this flower and isn't mortal and can get it herself without issue, or if her powers come from something else and the flowers just coincidentally gave the same power. It is interesting that she knows of the flower instantly, though, and even knows about its situation. That implies to me that her power probably does relate to it pretty directly, but we can't say for sure.
Then I must be a god like you, cause I got this root from the ground with my bare hands.
Okay, now he's saying that she's a god, which is really confusing. Not confusing, I guess, but it's notable because that's the first confirmation we got that she's a god. And like I mentioned before, her powers are so much more varied than other gods that it didn't really make sense to classify them the same. I wonder if she's just like a goddess of magic or something, and that's why it's so broad. But it is strange to see the division between her and the other gods when everyone else feels so focused and she doesn't.
Give it to you, didn't he?
Okay, fine, yes. Well, regardless.
You and I are now evenly matched. Our fates are intertwined, they're attached. I've got people to protect, friends I can't neglect. So now there is no turning back. You've made your one wrong move, now you're done for. I will be the one to prove that you're done for. Not even a spell saves you, cause you're done for. Oh, you better run, or soon you will be done for.
Interesting that he seems to have summoned a Cyclops, which is both not very imaginative and not very powerful. And also something he's got kind of trauma with, I'd assume. So strange he chose that. It's also really interesting how directly they're making these two seem to be the same. They're singing the same lines, they've got the same motivations, and they both seem so prideful as to think that there's no way they can lose, that even if the playing field is evened, even if their opponent can do everything they can do, that their unique essence is going to be the thing that changes the outcome and assures their victory.
You've lost.
My nymphs are like my daughters, I protect them at all costs. The last time we let strangers live, we faced a heavy loss. You've given me no reason to bestow you with my trust, but everyone's true colors are revealed in acts of lust.
I'm not sure I follow.
There are
Okay, so she really is meaning it when she says she's going to protect them at all costs. She prefers to deal with things, it seems like, peacefully, and trick people into being poisoned or enchanted into pigs. And then she resorts to violence. But after that, she offers herself to try and sway people because she's not willing to give up until she's used every tool at her disposal to neutralize a threat. And Odysseus is pretty similar in that regards, though it does seem like so far we've seen him draw a line at anything that would degrade himself or hurt his pride, that he's not willing to do that. Or if he is willing to do that, it's only as part of a charade. So it's interesting to see, as much as they're presented similarly, they've still got that difference between them. All right, and then we're on to the last one. Some spicy connotations. All right. Definitely wouldn't have expected that when it leads into this song with acts of lust. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
There are other ways of persuasion. There are other modes of control. There are other means of deceit. There are other roads to the soul. There are other actions of passion. You have so much left to learn. Want to save your men from the fire. Show me that you're willing to burn.
So she's saying now that she can't let him get his men because she can't trust them because something bad happened the last time they extended trust. And now that he has proven that she can't beat him, she needs to learn if he's the kind of person to be trusted. And to her mind goes to acts of lust to determine that. To say, basically, if we're having sex, you can't hide anything from me, and we'll see what kind of person you are. So that's an interesting mindset, and one where she's saying, if you need to save your men, you've got to give in to me and let me control you through lust. I'm interested to see Odysseus's action because he's driven so much by his desire to reunite with his wife and child that it would be weird for him to give up on that for someone else. But also, she is known to have the power to make someone fall in love. So I don't know how you could resist that. Maybe he resisted as part of the flower he ate, or just through willpower.
Who's to say with the mistakes I've made
Don't be
that they will be the
Think
last
of your
mistakes I
past.
ever made?
Don't break them.
There is so much power, but there's no puppet here.
This is the price
I'm
we pay
just
love.
on
There is no line,
I'm
never
just
enough. So
on
much power, so much.
Okay, so that makes a lot more sense if she's just trying to trick him into getting into a vulnerable position to kill him. And makes her seem a lot more like Odysseus again, where there actually is no line, or is a line she's not willing to cross, but she's willing to pretend to cross it to put her opponent off guard. So they really do seem almost like the same character, just in different positions in life.
Much power, but there's no puppet here.
I can't!
Back at home, my wife awaits for me. She's my everything, my Penelope. And she's all my power. But it's been 12 long years, oh, 12 long years since I have seen my wife. And now the god of tides is out to end my life.
So now he's saying that his wife is the source of his power. Obviously, he's not magic like Circe. He's not actually got some mystical power, though I do think he's slightly superhuman. But it sounds more like she is his all-consuming drive, the reason why he lives and fights and struggles against these crazy obstacles, is his wife. And betraying her memory, even when it's been so long and it's so hard to be away from her and he's so tempted, it would betray who he is fundamentally and take away that reason for him to go on, which is surprising a little bit, because to me, it seems like pride is what drives him. Pride is his power. And that as much as he's shown that he's driven by his need for family, it doesn't seem like that would be the line he's unwilling to cross. It seems like he is unwilling to cross the line when it comes to himself, but that giving up on his family would be secondary to that, because he has left them for 10 years, which is not necessarily, like, it's not like he abandoned them for no reason. So it's not like he's some bum father or anything, but it does mean that, or it shows that it's not quite absolute, his desire to be with his family. He's not willing to, he's not willing to stay with them if there are more important things, but he won't betray their memory. Maybe it's a pride thing still. Maybe it's like, they are my family and I will not betray them because I'm better than that, or because I don't want to give up on what's mine like that. That would make sense to me with how he's been portrayed.
I beg you, Circe, grant us mercy and let us puppets leave.
Poseidon, eh? There might be a way to evade him. There might be a way to get home. Though this other way's very dangerous, it might be your one final hope. I know of a brilliant prophet. Problem is this prophet is dead. I can't get you home, but I'll get you to the underworld instead.
Okay, so he manages to convince her, and it's uncertain. It seems like his true desire to be with his family kind of sparked something in her, but it also seems like the fact that she would be pissing off Poseidon is kind of what tipped her over the edge. She didn't seem to have a very fond opinion of him. We also see another unique power from her to get him to the underworld, or conjure this projection. I'm not sure if she's going to use magic to get him to the underworld, I guess. But it is interesting that as soon as she knows she would be acting against Poseidon, then she starts being willing to give significant help, it seems, instead of acting as an obstacle.
I'll release your men and I'll get you to the underworld instead.
Wait, you're helping us?
There are many ways of persuasion. There are many modes of control. Maybe showing one act of kindness leads to kinder souls down the road. I remember actions of passion. I have been in love once before. Maybe one day the world will need a puppeteer no more. Or maybe one day the world will need a puppeteer.
Okay, so once again, we see magic being cast through objects, this time a potion. I didn't think to pay attention to how she was casting her other magic. It looked direct to me. But generally, it seems like magic does happen through mediums. Odysseus needed the flower in order to do the power. She might need something similar. And most of her stuff seems to be through potions, objects, enchantments, things like that. Even that knife she made disappear was the knife. It was an object. So that's really interesting. All right. Well, that is it for the Cersei saga. By far my favorite music. I love this saga. Just the sound of it is so great to me. But I'm excited. I think the next one is the Underworld saga. And I'm excited to see them going to hell and see what that's like. Yeah, Underworld saga next. So I'll be back with that soon, and I hope you can stick around, subscribe if you haven't, and wait for that next video to come out. I will see you then.